Yo, what's up? Stover here, checking in. I want to do another video on cell organelles. That way you have enough material that will help you come bio-eoceton. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. Cell organelles. Organelles, let me make this big. Ready? Boom. There we go. Hold on. There we are. Boom. Cell organelles. So here we have two cells. One is both of them are eukaryotic, meaning more complex. This one is labeled an animal cell, and this one is a plant cell. One of the main differences here is the organelle of the cell wall for a plant. There is no cell wall for an animal cell. But beyond that, cell organelles are specialized structures within the cell. So just like our bodies have organs in them, cells have organelles. The term organelle makes me think of small. I don't know why, but it just does. And so inside of each cell here, you have membrane-bound organelles, okay? And what that means is that there is a membrane or a outer layer to each of these organelles, and these organelles each have a job to do. And we're going to discuss those jobs. We're going to discuss their structure. And as you can tell right here, there's not that many organelles, but we're going to go through them. And there are some differences between plant cells and animal cells. So let's just keep rolling through as far as organelles. Many organs, right? And here's what I really want you to understand. Their main job is to make proteins, okay? And when we're talking about proteins, we're not talking about grilling steak or chicken. We're talking about proteins that help your body to be who you are, right? We're talking about proteins such as testosterone and estrogen that makes you more male or more female, or and so we're talking about those kind of things, and proteins that help your skin to be strong, and so each organelle has a specific job, and their main overall purpose is to make proteins. All right, so just keep right on moving. Organelle station card. So let's talk about this first organelle. That's the cell membrane. It's plasma, which is a type of material. But as long as you remember a cell membrane, and that is also called a plasma membrane, I think we're fine. And so if you look down here, the membrane is going to be the outer layer around each cell, okay? So you have this outer layer. It's not the cell wall because it's not made of like cellulose or something firm. It's made of plasma. It's made of something movable. And we'll talk about what that's made of specifically. We've already talked about it a little bit, but the cell plasma membrane is the outer layer of each cell. And it surrounds the cell. It's made of two layers. What I mean by that, I wish I could draw it, but it's made of two layers of phospholipids called a phospholipid bilayer. And it's where the phospholipids, remember lipids for macromolecules, it's where they line up with the tails facing inwards like this. The tails are right here. And so you got the heads where my hands are, and the two tails like that, right? And you got two tails going each way. I can't make it happen, but you got two tails going each way, and the heads of the phospholipids are like that. And so you have them stacked like in a line around the cell. So the job is to control what goes in and out of the cell. When I say control, what I mean is to allow stuff out, to allow stuff in, and that's called transport. And we'll talk about that a little later. And so you see here the cell membrane. And you also see that both eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells have the cell plasma membrane. All right, so here is a clearer picture of the phospholipid with the, make sure that I have this up, that way I'm not repeating myself. You have a polar hydrophilic head, which means it loves water, right? And that it has a charge on it, okay? And that charge is pointing in this direction, okay? And it's really attracted to another pole, like the North and the South Pole, and that magnetic pull. Now, it's made of two layers of fats. Fats equal the phospholipids. Remember lipids from our macromolecule conversation. Now, it has, like I said, hydrophilic and hydrophobic sides to it. This loves water. This hates water. Okay? So this stays away from any type of water substance. And that is exactly what's in and outside of a cell. We have cytoplasm on the inside of a cell, and then which is made of mostly water. And then you have liquid substance made of mostly water outside of the cell. Now, if you could just zoom that in, here we have the phospholipid head right here, phospholipid heads, and then the phospholipid tails facing each other, right, with water or cytoplasm on each side of this, right? And what happens is the cell membrane allows stuff to travel through and get in if it's small enough, okay? Now, if you zoom out just a little bit, you'll see that these phospholipids line up around the cell, okay? So let's talk just a little bit more about the plasma membrane, and then I'll move on to another topic. The phospholipid bilayer, it's proteins embedded for transport, and I'll talk about what this means in just a minute. It has carbohydrates, or carbs, embedded for structure and identification. Or this is transport, by the way. I always say support, and I'm sorry about that. It's called the fluid because it moves. It's fluid, right? Meaning it's kind of like Zen-like. It's moving, like you're on a boat rocking back and forth. It's called mosaic because a mosaic painting is used a number of different parts, okay? And so it's composed of many parts that move around freely. So this is why it's called the fluid mosaic model. And a model is used in science to express ideas pretty simply, pictorially or mathematically. Now, if you look up here, you have the cell, and this is the phospholipid bilayer with the heads facing outward and inward, and then the tails away from water. Now, zoom in, boom, and we have these different pieces that are in here. The reason why proteins are for transport is because this is a protein chamber, and it's letting larger molecules in. Where smaller molecules can kind of just fit through and come on in, larger molecules need a transport chamber. Then you have these carbohydrates, which are there to basically they embed for structure and to keep these together, to keep the membranes together. So it's kind of sticky, right? And so one of the carbohydrates, sugars, is cholesterol. Think of it like it's sticking it together. And then you have these proteins, protein chambers, different parts of the cell that helps molecules travel in and out, and you have the phospholipids. So the plasma membrane. Now, the cytoskeleton's next, but I'm going to end this here and hit cytoskeletons in just a minute.